will therein lieth, which dieth not. He knoweth the mysteries of the will, with its vigor. For God is but a great will pervading all things by nature of its intentness. Man doth not yield himself to the angels, nor unto death utterly, save only through the weakness of his feeble will.
I cannot, for my soul, remember how, when, or even precisely where I first became acquainted with the lady Ligeia. Long years have since elapsed, and my memory is feeble through much suffering. Yet I believe that I met her first and most frequently in some large, old, decaying city near the Rhine. Ligeia, Ligeia, in studies of a nature more than all else adapted to deaden impressions of the outward world, it is by that sweet word alone, by Ligeia, that I bring before mine eyes in fancy the image of her who is no more. And now, while I write, a recollection flashes upon me that I have never known the paternal name of her who was my friend and my betrothed, and who became the partner of my studies and finally the wife of my bosom. There is one dear topic, however, on which my memory fails me. It is the person of Ligeia. In stature she was tall, somewhat slender, and in her latter days even emaciated. She came and departed as a shadow. I was never made aware of her entrance, save by the dear music of her low, sweet voice. In beauty of face no maiden ever equaled her. I examined the contour of the lofty and pale forehead. It was faultless. How cold indeed that word when applied to a majesty so divine! The skin rivaling the purest ivory, the commanding extent and repose, the gentle prominence of the regions above the temples, and then the raven black, the glossy, the luxuriant and naturally curling tresses. I looked at the delicate outlines of the nose, and nowhere but in the graceful medallions of the Hebrews had I beheld a similar perfection. I regarded the sweet mouth, the dimples which sported, and the color which spoke, the teeth glancing back with a brilliancy almost startling, every ray of the holy light which fell upon them in her serene and placid, yet most exultingly radiant of all smiles. And then I peered into the large eyes of Ligeia. For eyes we have no models in the remotely antique, and at such moments was her beauty, in my heated fancy thus it appeared perhaps, the beauty of beings either above or apart from the earth. The hue of the orbs was the most brilliant of black, and far over them hung jetty lashes of great length. The strangeness, however, which I found in the eyes was of a nature distinct from the formation or the color or the brilliancy of the features, and must after all be referred to the expression. The expression of the eyes of Ligeia, how for long hours have I pondered upon it. How have I, through the whole of a midsummer night, struggled to fathom it. What was it? Which lay far within the pupils of my beloved? What was it? I was possessed with a passion to discover. Those eyes, those large, those shining, those divine orbs. And now those eyes shone less and less frequently upon the pages over which I pored. Ligeia grew ill. The wild eyes blazed with a too glorious effulgence. The pale fingers became of the transparent waxen hue of the grave, and the blue veins upon the lofty forehead swelled and sank impetuously with the tides of the gentle emotion. I saw that she must die, and I struggled desperately in spirit with the grim Azrael. And the struggles of the passionate wife were, to my astonishment, even more energetic than my own. There had been much in her stern nature to impress me with the belief that, to her, death would have come without its terrors, but not so. Her voice grew more gentle, grew more low, yet I would not wish to dwell upon the wild meaning of the quietly uttered words. That she loved me I should not have doubted, and I might have been easily aware that in a bosom such as hers, love would have reigned no ordinary passion, but in death only was I fully impressed with the strength of her affection.
Lo, 'tis a gala night, within the lonesome latter years, an angel throng, bewinkled bedlight, in veils, and drowned in tears, sit in the theatre to see a play of hopeless and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres. Mimes, in the form of God on high, mutter and mumble low, and hither and thither fly, mere puppets they who come and go, and bidding of vast formless things, that shaft and scenery to and fro, flapping from out their condor wings, invisible woe. That motley drama, oh be sure, it shall be not forgotten, with its phantom chased forevermore by a crowd that sees it not, through a circle that ever returneth in.
To the self-same spot, in much of madness and more of sin, and horror the soul of the plot. But see, amid the mimic rout, a crawling shape intrude, a blood-red thing that writhes from out the scenic solitude. It writhes, with mortal pangs. The mimes become its food, and the seraphs sob at vermin fangs, in human gore imbued. Out are the lights, out all, and over each quivering form, the curtain, a funeral pall, comes down with the rush of a storm, and the angels, all pallid and wan, uprising, unveiling, affirm that the play is the tragedy, man, and its hero, the conqueror worm.
Oh God, our divine Father, shall these things be so and deviantly so? Shall this conqueror be not once conquered? Are we not part and parcel in thee? Who will know if the mysteries of the will with its vigor? Man doth not yield him to the angels, nor unto death utterly, save only through the weakness of his feeble will.
Man doth not yield him to the angels, nor unto death utterly, save only through the weakness of his feeble will.
I led from the altar as my bride, as the successor of the unforgotten Ligeia, the fair-haired and blue-eyed Lady Rowena Trevanion of Tremaine. I loathed her with a hatred belonging more to demon than to man.
I dreaded the fierce moodiness of his temper. I shunned him and loved him but little.
My memory flew back to Ligeia. I would call upon her name during the silence of the night, or among the sheltered recesses of the glens by day, as if I could restore her to the pathway she had abandoned. Ah, could it be forever upon the earth? About the commencement of the 2nd month of marriage, the Lady Rowena was attacked with sudden illness from which her recovery was slow. The fever which consumed her rendered her nights uneasy, and in her perturbed state of half-slumber she spoke of sounds and of motions in and about the chamber of the turret. She became at length convalescent, finally well. Yet but a brief period elapsed, ere a second more violent disorder again threw her upon a bed of suffering, and from this attack her frame, at all times feeble, never altogether recovered.
This world It's hard to tell the shadow from the light. What is real can find a way to hide behind the lies. Don't be fooled by voices all around you, 'cause your
On my
road
deathbed, what's
will
that?
always be revealed.
The self-same spot in much of madness and more of sin and horror the soul of the plot. But see, amid the myth and the crowd,
It's the one thing you can trust.
Best show
Always
ever.
come from love, and it will shine right through the dark.
the self-same spot in
Like
much
a
of
northern star to show you what is true. You'll never lose.
Maddie, you're in the background too.
Only you lead with your heart. You have been the truest friend that anyone could have. And the love you always give by wanting to get back. You've been knocked down and found. Not everyone is what they show you. What is true will always be revealed. If you lead with your heart, it's the one thing you can trust.
Of God! Of God! Our divine Father! Shall this thing be so immediately so? Shall this conqueror be not one conqueror? Are we not part of him?
Like a northern star to show you what's true.